Wholeness Star family, it's Dorian Frazier, Human Activator here to kind of just talk about, for the lack of a better word, darkness, impurity, all of these, words that are kind of being tossed around lately. I just want to clear up that this isn't coming from an ego-based perspective or something that's bothering me on a personal level. It's just, whenever people say things like this, it always makes me kind of turn inward and kind of think, well, what am I, what am I doing that could possibly project or be perceived as some type of inner darkness being projected onto others? And I think a big part of it is understanding there is no fucking darkness. There is no light. There is only neutrality. There is only perfection. There is only love. There is no positive or negative. There is only what we attach to through our preconceived notions and traumatic experiences. You know, and as a facilitator, I always kind of have to ask the question, have I done enough self-work? Have I done enough work to work on someone? And I don't think there's ever going to be, I don't think the work will ever be complete. This is a continual process that is infinite. If you think that you can tackle on your lifetimes of low pulsating antiparticles in a day, then be my guest. But to my understanding, this takes time and patience and understanding and plenty of self-love. Back to the being a facilitator or healer and not having received enough inner healing. I think the biggest part really plays into not necessarily self-healing per se, but understanding the mechanics behind energetic transmission or frequency transmission. And that is, you can't transmit your low pulsating particles into the receiver unless you use your personal energy that you're using to transmutate any of the distortion within the individual. If you are channeling, or circuiting, your own personal circuitries and circuiting high frequencies from those circuitries, then the least they could get is just not the full amplified frequency of a above 8th through 15th dimensional frequency bands. So to say that you can't get worked on by someone who hasn't done any inner work is a bit distorted. Now, I could understand if that individual doesn't know what they're doing, but there's a science behind this. There is a mechanical, alchemical process behind this, and I'd be more concerned about working with those who have done inner healing and don't know the scientific, alchemical, mechanical process behind high frequency infusion and transmission. Now, by no means am I saying, don't, as a practitioner, don't do any self-work. That would just be insanity. That would just be silly. But, for doing this for so many years now, I've been initiated, I've done so much self-work, and I'm continuing to do self-work. Going into this year alone, I've been feeling such a huge push to go raw, to, really eliminate a lot of toxins in my diet and in my lifestyle, But to say that, of course you can say that, if you can't help yourself, you can't help anyone else, but then it's also like, well, sometimes people can see what you can't see from your first person perspective, and it takes that third person reflection to kind of peer into your soul, into your portal, into your life, and to really be able to see some things that they're not attached to that you might not. There's so many infinite possibilities, ways, routes that this can really go. but ultimately it comes down to knowing the science, and I think that's in my opinion, the most important part. What we see in others is always a reflection of self. Speaking of reflections of self, how divinely timed was it for him to walk into here, right, buddy?
Yeah.
Say hello, world.
Hello, fam.
Say greetings,
Green.
life forms.
Love forms.
As always, nothing is external. Anyone's darkness that you see outside of yourself is but a reflection of your own to some degree, whether that's in an exaggerated form or not. Nothing is separate. We are all one, and everybody wants to, kind of negate from these rules when it's really applicable to them. And that's just human behavior at its finest. So it's all understanding and love here. I just wanted to clear up quite a bit of distortion within this area of light work, or whatever you'd like to call it. Now, this is really the second time this week that someone has kind of, interacted with me and told me that I have a lot of self-work to do, that all healers are being audited, blah, blah, blah. And at the end of the day, I'm so thankful and so humble, and I'm so happy to be able to understand that there is no separation, that everyone is everyone. And this is such a beneficial lesson in this imprint of existence, as it can be a tool to use to help self-reflect and understand things that we wouldn't be able to understand through solely viewing it through our first-person perspective. Now, what this is telling me is that it's not that I have inner darkness, but of course I do, that needs to be dealt with and looked at. This is a matter of my own projection that I have imposed onto others, must be telling them that they need that they need to do their own inner work, or something of that degree, to where it's being reflected back onto me. And now this is something that I need to internalize, self-reflect, examine, resonate with, and embody to really understand the entirety of this distortion within myself, that from a sense is ego, to impose that one has something wrong with them, when in reality everything is so perfect. Nothing is wrong with anyone, as everything is acting for the highest good of that individual's soul growth. And these are all important things to kind of keep in mind, And it's just funny because I am doing so much self-work right now. It's like, what more do you people want? But at the end of the day, I'm doing what's best for me, and that's all that really matters. That's my message for today, I suppose. That's what's on my mind first thing in the morning, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, beautiful day full of fluidity, abundance, prosperity, all of that. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace and blessings.